Jürgen, you've already qualified, but obviously win by 4 goals and you top the group. So do you go as strong as fitness within your group allows you to, or on this occasion you have to think more about resting as many players as possible because you do have that big game against Spurs coming up at the weekend?
First and foremost, it's pretty quick turnaround since we played against Leeds, so I'm not fully aware of the situation with the players who played against Leeds, and I still have to wait for that exactly, and then for sure we will not take risks, but we cannot. And if you watch football a little bit, international football, then you would probably know, or will know that Napoli is in incredible shape, plays incredible football, top of the table in Italy, maybe the team in form in Europe in the moment. So this is not a game for a massive rotation, probably, because it's not about that we have to win 4-0 or whatever to go top of the group. We want to win the game, obviously, that's clear. But the result in the moment is not really important. So I have to make the lineup later today, maybe tomorrow morning. We'll see, and then we go from there.
Is there a sense then, from the way that you're speaking, that you're going in mentally with a point to prove against Napoli because of what happened in Naples?
A point to prove? I'm not sure that's a
I wouldn't frame it as revenge either, you see, so I'm trying to find the balance, but obviously there's a motivation there to put right what went wrong in Naples, I would think.
Look, in a Champions League group stage, the most important thing is that you get through it and that you get qualified for the knockout stages, so for last 16, and that's what we did. So and from here we go. So it's a football game, it's worldwide broadcasted, it's we have a full Anfield road, so that means we have to put a proper shift in, and that's what we will do. But before that we need to have the players who have the physical possibilities to do that, and that's what I don't know in the moment who that will be, and that's what I'm thinking about. And then when I know who we can and will line up, then I think about the possible outcome or whatever, or what we have to do in specific moments, which system we can play or have to play, and all these kind of things. But again, we play against a team who's really pretty well tuned. Everybody knows exactly what they're doing. You can see that they are straightforward. They defend together. The counterattacks are really good, and they play some good stuff. And that's what we think about, and not the first game against Napoli or what we have to put right or these kind of things. It is a challenge, but that's fine. No problem with that. And about how I start thinking after the press conference.
And just to check if there's one player's fitness you know about, Joel, is he ready?
No.
Not ready.
Chris.
Jürgen, tomorrow. Sorry, Jürgen, can we expect tomorrow Ibrahima Konate to play tomorrow? And given how good he was in the defence last season, how big will it be to have him back, fully available?
It's very good that we have him back. He's ready. Was ready for the squad now, and now maybe it's the moment where he can play. But again, he trained yesterday completely normal again, which is very helpful. He had now a full week, 8-9 days, where he could train each session. That's obviously very good. So yeah, he's for sure an option.
And I know going behind has been discussed a lot this season, but in terms of going behind early on as well, how frustrating has that been? I think since May, inside the first 10 minutes, I think 7 times going 1-0 down. How big a concern has that been?
I understand that you ask the question all the time, but it's all the goals were completely different.
How early on it happens.
But it's the last goal we conceded now could not be more different to all the other goals we conceded. It was not a phase where we were down, where Leeds played around us, through us, over us, under us, everything's like this. So it was we set the goal up for them. So you cannot compare it. But yes, of course, it's concerning. But it's not that we go in each game and say make sure we don't concede the first goal. That's anyway clear in football. So it's a clear thing. But it's not self-fulfilling prophecy or whatever that you talk about it and it happens, or you don't talk about it and it happens. We had other games where it didn't happen. That's obviously very helpful. We all know that. But I understand the question is coming up. My answer cannot really change to that. Beyond all the problems we had so far this season, this is one of them, of course, and maybe the one who leads to a lot of others. But in the specific game against Leeds, it was now not the main problem because we scored the equalizer pretty quickly after that. So from there, we could have won the game, but we didn't.
Buongiorno signor Klopp. Buongiorno, sono Giulio Olivero della Gazzetta dello Sport dall'Italia. Volevo chiederle due cose sul Napoli. La prima, se pensa che il Napoli abbia negli anni un po' imitato il Liverpool.
Has kind of copied Liverpool's way of playing. Wing backs who go high up the pitch, the kind of thing that you've done, particularly with wide players at Liverpool. And then do you think that even though Napoli doesn't have a huge amount of experience, do you think it can still get to the final, even when it comes to the knockout stage? Do you think Napoli can make it to the final?
Let's start with the last question. Yes. I think if they can play like they play in the moment, they have a good chance to go to the final. That's how it is. How I said, I think Napoli is in the moment the team in form in Europe. That's how it is. They do really well. Did they copy our style? Of course not. Spalletti is a very, very experienced coach. Was all over the world, working everywhere pretty much, and it looks like now really all his experience, with all the experience and a few really good signings and good decisions, he brought a group together which works on an exceptional high level together. It looks really good, to be honest, but they defend differently to what we ever did. It's more man-marking, man-orientated, but from there, yes, high energetic football, definitely. Everybody involved in pretty much everything, defend together, attack together. Yeah, I'm not sure they copied us, but it's something we like to see as well, that's true.
Paul Joyce.
Jürgen,
It's getting serious now.
obviously you've had the Manchester City performance where the team played. Obviously you've had the Manchester City performance where the team played very well, and maybe performances this season where the levels dropped. So how as a coach do you work out where the team is at? And are you ever concerned that this team might have just reached the end of its cycle and it's in decline now? Is that a concern?
So we are obviously all out there, and we do the job in public, and I think the judgment for this will be later on in the season. Let me say or maybe at the end of the season, where I say, okay, that's obviously now that's it for this group of players, whatever, for this manager, if you want, whatever question will be asked then. But in a moment, it's not 100% fair to judge the team, because that means the squad, obviously, because we never had them available. We miss, especially now up front, top quality, which is not helpful. It doesn't mean the others are no top quality. They have that, but it's you with the amount of games you have, you usually would make changes. We can't do that. So similar situation, very similar situation in midfield for a long time already. Plenty of players were out, came back, and these kind of things. So we had it pretty much everywhere. So that, even if it's unfair, it's fine, because that's normal. That's our life, and you're absolutely right to ask these kind of questions. But the answer will be, the answer we have to answer that probably later on. But we are all, I don't know exactly what the word is, but we are all out there to be judged. It's completely fine. Manager, players, that's how life is, and in professional football is. So, but in this moment, I don't think about that at all, because we cannot change it anyway. So we have to go through this, and if you want to get out of something, very often, first of all, you have to go through it, and that's what we are doing, obviously. Yes, with some highlights, but with some blows as well. We see that, and we saw it now only recently, and if you can judge individual single moments and say, how can we do that? What I did after game, the second goal, oh my God, I still woke up at night because of the goal. But anyhow, there's a reason why it happened. So is it the right reason? No. But you can see in the situations the boys want to win the game. That's actually the message from this situation, instead of defending the draw in this moment in time, because we don't want to have a throw-in for Leeds. You can see that, because then they can play the time down until we get the throw in. It's a minute. We don't close the center because we expect to win the ball. Means we are already in a better position when we win the ball, and in the end we from outnumbering leads in possibly outnumbering leads in 3 different situations, we end up in a 1v2 in the box. So, and that's what happened. So yes, that makes life not easier, of course not. And we expect more from ourselves. The boys expect more. I expect more from them. But it's just we have to make sure that we get there with steps. And we had in this game as well really good moments. The goalie had an exceptional game, the Leeds goalie. So and you have to work on that as well, and you have to use that as well. That's the challenge in the moment. Yes. Avoiding the mistakes, obviously, and keeping the good stuff in, and then you get there step by step. This is, now we can say it, obviously it was never a quick fix, and now it looks like it's not a quick fix, now it's proven. But we will not stop fighting. So it's not a question about, and I didn't read anything, but it probably will be, everything will be judged about me now as well, which is absolutely fine. But when people look at me, then they will say he looks tired or whatever. That's normal. Well, I'm not. I cannot give that excuse. So much for me and stuff. It's not. So my job is not only being here in the moment when the sun is shining and somebody gives us a trophy. My job is as well here to be there when we have to go to a really rough period. So and I will do that with all I have, or if possible even more, 100%. So I'm ready to play against Napoli, but I didn't play against Leeds physically. So that's it. And now we have to make sure we find 11 to start, that we can give them a proper fight in a situation. If you judge it historically and say Liverpool should beat Napoli, but for whatever reason, we had this game now, I think the 3rd time in my Champions League time here. It was never an easy game. I can't remember one. We won, right? A very important one. And I forgot the result of the other one. What was the other? We won it 1-1 and drew the other one. So it was always tough, and it's this year especially tough. But we are through in the group. That's the positive. And now let's make something special out of this game for us, where we can, because football, the pitch, we know the size of the pitch, we have to win challenges, and the whole thing starts with win the first challenge. Celebrate it in the stand, celebrate it on the pitch, not with running around, just with feeling it. That's the first step in the right direction, and go from there. And I'm ready for that. And the people gave me the sign after the game. They are ready for it as well, because it was now obviously not the longest lap of appreciation we ever had. But when we went to the stands and you could hear the people sing or whatever, then in that moment you realize, okay, that's really special here. So let's just use this and go from here. It's a rough moment, no doubt about that. And nobody is flying here like life is great. No, but there's only one chance to face it. Go for it, and that's what we will do.
Juliet?
The first who knows that she needs a mic.
I guess it's just to follow on
great.
what you were saying in terms of then the challenge that obviously it presents itself. You spoke about, I think, maybe earlier this month or last month, about how you're embracing this challenge. But compared to a couple of seasons ago, when I know there weren't crowds, but you had the setbacks then with the injuries and everything else. So how big a challenge is this one to put it right and find that consistency compared to the one a couple of years ago? And maybe how much more of your time do you have to invest in putting it right as well?
No, look, it's now the situation now is that when I say it's not a quick fix, then it doesn't mean we already showed obviously that there's the next game and we are there. So consistency is our stability is our issue. So and there were highs and there were obviously too many lows in the season. That's clear. But we cannot think about what happens in a few months or whatever. There's the next game coming up, and that's our life. And then there's the next game coming up against Tottenham away, and then there's the next game coming up, Derby, and then there's the next game coming up, Southampton. None of them will come here and just say, okay, Liverpool is in a difficult moment. Let's give them an easy run through or whatever. It's actually the opposite way. They all smell the chance, and that's what they want to use. That's our situation. And if that game is over, then and that's long for me from here, but if that game is over, then we can hope that all the players from the World Cup come back healthy and all these kind of things, and then we can go from there with the rest of the group. We have a proper kind of pre-season, like a chance for us where we can reset a few things and go from there. But then we start away at Aston Villa with a new manager. So the preparation, I know now already, will be extremely difficult because we have no idea what they will do. But that's that situation, and we are nobody's allowed to hide from it. And I don't. It's just a situation, and I know long enough in the business. There's always a chance to win the next game, and if you do that, from there you can go. And there's always a chance to put things right. And if you do that in the short term, then you have to make sure that you can do it in the long term as well. And that's what we are working on. But it's not now that somebody should expect we just start flying now like this. Especially because of the quality of the opponents, because they have their own idea as well.
Carl.
Hi, Jürgen. You said earlier that the Leeds goal had you waking up at night. Is that a regular thing for you? Is it a common thing for you? Have you had a few this season? Wake up in the night thinking about
No, I'm 55. I go a couple of times per night on the toilet. So that's why I wake up usually. But this time, the goal was in my mind, yeah.
Just on tomorrow night's performance, what's the most important thing you want to see from the performance tomorrow?
After all the things I answered now, you asked me that question, Carl. Fight. Do you think I want to see now that we start passing around them back heels and bicycle kicks and these kind of things? Of course not. We have to work, and we will. And for that we have to make sure that the boys we line up are ready to do that, and then we will do it, and then we will see what we get for it. The problem is Napoli will fight as well, but that's fine. That's Champions League competition, highest level. How I said, really a team in top form in the moment. Whoever they line up, they can make changes. Each striker scores and all these kind of things. That's their situation. We had that situation as well from time to time. So I'm not jealous or whatever. It's fine, well deserved. But we have to be the opponent they don't want to face. But in the moment, I think the mood in the Napoli camp is pretty good, rightly so. They think, okay, let's give them the next knock, and we have to fight against that.
I knew you would say fight, by the way, but I just wondered how easy it is to switch that on, because there have been some performances where that fight hasn't been there. So how do you ensure that fight is there?
Which performances where we didn't fight?
Forest, maybe.
That's, again, our life. It's completely, but you're all right and I'm wrong. That's how it is. But to say we didn't fight against Forest is actually, still not right. Because you lose a game, and that's how it is. You lose a game, and then people tell you didn't try hard enough. You can fight obviously in a different way. Against Forest, we ran against the wall, a deep defending wall, and conceded a completely unnecessary goal. And yes, we could have played better, we could have done a lot of things better, but the boys fight. And this is not a game where you now can outrun the opponent because you have the ball all the time and run against the wall. So that's a different thing. The fight is there. Do we do it always with 100%? For that you need the full conviction about what you are doing as well, and you need the full physical ability to do that. So let me say it like this, the fighting spirit is not our problem this moment. That's there. This group in that aspect didn't change and will not change. It's like the guy didn't change, but all of a sudden everybody thinks you're not trying hard enough, don't do this hard enough and do that hard enough. That's the life we live, not since yesterday. That's completely normal. How I said, I don't expect you to think more about our situation than I do. Don't think that would be possible anyway. But you come here and ask a few questions and more or less happy with the answers. That's fine. But my life around is actually the job. I used to say that press conferences are like holiday. I cannot say that anymore because facing your questions is, when you lose, is really tough. 8 interviews after a game you lose, and when you still have not sorted everything, what you think about it is a real torture. But again, that's part of the job. And I had another look in my wage slip, and that's what I'm paid for. So and pretty good as well. So it's okay. You can criticize, absolutely right. We have to work.
Last one for Lady at the back, and then we have to make way for James Milner.
That will be good fun, by the way.
Grazie.
Grazie.
Salve, Titti Improta, Canale 21 Napoli. La domanda che le faccio è proprio sul Napoli.
I have a question about Napoli. I've heard you praise Napoli and give lots of compliments to the team and to Luciano Spalletti. Does a team like this scare you, or does it motivate you to play even better because you're playing such a team that's playing so well at the moment?
So when I speak about the positive aspects of the Napoli game in a moment, it's because I'm a football lover. So and what they are doing. So over the few weeks now since we played Napoli, there were some opportunities to watch first highlights and now the last 3 games again to prepare the game, and it's just really good. That's how it is. But no, I'm not afraid or I'm not scared or whatever you think. It's just tough challenge. But that's all. I really respect what they are doing, and I know Luciano is respecting what we are doing as well. Let me say at least over the last few years. And now our situation is slightly more difficult than the Napoli situation, obviously. And I still can remember how that feels. You never can be sure that in the next game the performance will be like this as well. When you are on a winning streak, you have to do a lot and make sure that you stay on track. So, no, I'm not scared. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Grazie.
James, obviously we've seen you beat City twice this season, but we've also seen you drop points unexpectedly. What reasons do you see behind the inconsistencies that you've produced so far this season?
I think if it was obviously one easy fix, you'd know, and you'd fix it obviously to be a successful football team. There's so many little things that you need to do well, and at this moment in time we're not doing enough of those consistently enough. I think that's the big word that you said. We've shown some very good performances this year, but we haven't had that consistency, and that's something that we need to improve.
So where is confidence at then, and what do you see now as the goals to still make a success of this season?
Yeah, I think obviously the next game's always the one that we focus on, and one way you can start a good run and get that consistency and confidence back. I think obviously the performances we have had, some very good performances this year as well. Like you say, that's what we know it's not too far off, but it's important that we keep delivering every 3 days. It's been an intense start to the season. It's been quite hard to get rid of them, obviously, with a few players being out and not getting that settled lineup. But that's something that we have to deal with, and we have to deal with better. But the beauty of having so many games in such short space of time, it's a great chance for us to go out there and start putting it right.
And generally, results in the Champions League have gone well. So tomorrow, is it a case of going all out to win the group? Because obviously winning by 4 clear goals will give you that. Or is there the thought at the back of the mind as well, the Spurs to come at the weekend? That's a big game given how the Premier League season has gone so far.
No, all we can focus on is the next game, and obviously the biggest aim of the Champions League is to get out of the group first and foremost. We've managed to do that. Not the easiest group, but we've managed that, and I think it's a great opportunity to play a very good team who are in great form, and it's a great test for us to go up against them and hopefully try first and foremost and put in a good performance and win the game. That's the main thing.
Chris.
Hi James. Given your experience, how much does your role as a leader on and off the pitch take on extra importance right now?
Yeah, it does. I think I've seen pretty much and experienced most things in the game, and it's important that you look at some of the younger guys and been very fortunate to be involved in a very successful time, and we've had disappointments before in a group, but that's probably been missing out on a league title by 1 point here and there and losing finals. So obviously this is a different sort of disappointment and something we haven't been through as a team too much, which is a positive. But it's important that nothing really changes. We have to keep working hard, we have to stick together, and we have to focus on the next game, and we have to try to keep the dressing room positive. And like we've said here, there's obviously been some very good performances this year as well, so it shows we're not far off, but it's about getting that consistency and trying to do that week in, week out.
And this group, it's earned the tag of mentality monsters over the last few years, hasn't it? And some fantastic achievements along the way for that. But is there a sense that the players have been affected mentally at all by conceding the first goal on so many occasions this season, the manner of conceding the first goal as well?
I don't think obviously that helps. Going behind, that it puts yourselves up against it. But I think it shows the character and the amount of games that we've come back and managed to turn around, and ones where we've fought to the end and things like that. So no, it's obviously not ideal, and that's something that we can try and improve. And that's obviously a big aim. But I think the attitude of the boys and the fight's always there.
Carl.
Hi James, you said you've seen and done most things in your career. I'm just wondering if there's any particular experience you can draw on for yourself and for the team at this point.
Football, it always comes back to the same thing. In times where things aren't going well, especially at a massive club like Liverpool, there's going to be questions outside, there's going to be criticism, and deservedly so. The standards we've set for ourselves over the last few years. But it's so important that we stick together, and the opinions within the dressing room are the only one that counts. Can we help each other out? Can we work harder? Can we keep trying to fix the things, analyse the games that we're doing well, things we're not doing well, and try to put it right? That's the main thing. And like I said before, the beauty of having so many games in quick succession, it gives us another chance quickly to try put it right.
It's easy to shut out that outside noise. Have you made a more conscious effort to do it because things aren't going as well?
I can only answer that personally. I don't take too much notice, to be honest, whether things are good or bad, because that's football. Like we said, things change very quickly. You can't get too high when things are going well, and you can't get too low when things aren't. Football is full of that. The more you keep an even keel, and I think that's your job, to get interest and have opinions, and everyone's entitled to their own opinions. But when things are going well, they're going to be blown out of proportion. You win the first 6 games of the season, you're going to go unbeaten, and if you have a bad run, you're going to get relegated. So that's the way of the world. But for us, that doesn't help us. We have to focus on that next game and try to perform as well as we can and try to get a result.
Dominic.
James, is there an anger or frustration in the dressing room that it's inconsistent and you're not showing the form that you should?
Yeah, obviously there's always frustration. Like I said, the expectations we have on ourselves, the expectations that that the fans have, and how we've performed over recent years, and the success we've had. Obviously, when things don't go well, it's tough, and you're frustrated, and you're trying to put it right. I think, like you say, the performances are there in certain games, which obviously isn't ideal because it shows we're not a million miles off, but we're not performing to the level we should be consistently enough, and that's something we definitely have to work hard to put right.
Gentleman at the very back.
Hi James. The manager said after Saturday it's been a brutal season. I think 19 players have missed 1 game at least in terms of injuries. How much do you think that has an effect on the squad?
Yeah, I think so. I think obviously when we're talking about consistency, that comes from having a settled lineup. It comes from rotation within those positions to give people a rest, keep them fresh. So I think that is obviously an impact. You have players maybe playing more games than they would like, or players coming back from injuries and being put back into the team straight away when really they could be eased back in. So it definitely doesn't help, but that's part of football. That's something we've had in years gone by, and something that we've dealt with better at times. So that's something that we can step up and deal with again. But it is obviously a factor, but that's part of football. And the amount of games we've had, the amount of games we had last year, and the short rest, it's going to be a factor. It's obviously always a conversation of how many games teams play, how many matches play, and that's unfortunately part of football.
You have missed one. You're obviously 36 now, 37. Are there any plans at all for the end of the season yet, or is it too early?
Say that again, sorry.
Is it too early? Obviously, 36 going on 37 out of contract in the summer. Have you held any discussions yet at all to be made?
No, I think, like I say, at this moment in time, the most important thing is trying to get to a level that we want to be at consistently. I'm trying as best I can to help influence that, and whatever the manager asks me to do, whatever position that is or whatever role he wants me to take up, I'm ready to do that, and like I say, touch wood, hopefully I can stay fit.
Gentleman in the white shirt.
Buon pomeriggio, Milner, Manuel Guardasole, Calcio Napoli 24.
I'm from Calcio Napoli 24. Now, talking about the midfield that you played against in the first game, do you think the midfield you played against, the Napoli midfield, is perhaps the best midfield you played against this season? Now, Klopp said that it's going to be really tough for you to win 4-0 to finish top of the group. But do you believe that it is possible to win 4-0 tomorrow to finish top of the group?
I think Napoli are obviously a very good team. We've seen that, how well they've played, not just this season. Obviously, I think they're unbeaten, the top of the league, and how they've played in the Champions League. Obviously, they had a great finish to last season as well, so they're a team who are full of confidence. The midfield is one strong area of the team, but I think that's why they're doing so well, because they're strong all over the place, all over the field, that they know what they're doing, they're playing as a team, and they've got good individual players as well. For us, the most important thing first and foremost is to go out and put in a good performance. That's what we want to do. We want to try and win the game. It's a perfect game for us. Obviously, when things aren't going well, you're coming up against one of the best teams in Europe at this moment in time, and it's a great test for us to be able to go out there and hopefully, put in a performance that we can build on from there.
Well done. Thank you.